within. Well, that's what it means is when you make that connection with that bigger part of yourself that has all of the answers, see, that's within you, and you make that connection within. You're not going outside of yourself to do that. You're doing it within. Now, where QHHT, soul speak, all these different things it's teaching you how to make that connection and how then on your own, you can get your own answers. At first, you might need to be taught. That's where these things come in. After that, you can do it yourself.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Your Superior Self. Tonight, I have Julia Cannon with me again. I love Julia. I had to have her back again. Julia, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you, Trey. This is fantastic. Thank you for inviting me again.
So I was watching I think it was an episode or a clip of an interview that you did, a documentary. I think it was on your mom. And I didn't know this, but your mom was in the palm reading.
Yes.
Did not know that at all. It shouldn't surprise me, but it does. Like, I did not know that. How did she do that? Like, she just got into it reading books?
No, well, it would have been from when she was younger. I don't remember how. I mean, she was taught. Oh yeah, it was like maybe the Fate, because she's been a fan of the Fate magazine since they began, and so it could have been something in that. But that was what attracted her to it. But she got into it somehow. I feel like she had a book. It probably was a book because she loved to read. But anyway, she just started playing with it, and she had a knack. She had a real knack for it. And if you had a reading from her, everybody that had one was just astounded. They were dead on.
Sure.
Like, how was that?
What can you tell from a palm reading? What can you tell?
You can tell so many things. You can tell like where they are now, where they're going. You can tell like when they'll leave home, when they'll get married, how many children. But she would always see more than that. And it's similar to when somebody reads tarot cards, and she was able to do that as well, read tarot cards. But I feel like this is just a medium. I'm going to compare it to a crystal ball. You don't really see anything in there. I don't think they really see it in here. It's just that this is a medium to get information intuitively. And it's like, you'll get guidance. It's like, okay, I'm seeing this. And then all of a sudden you'll just know something. And it's like, I don't know how I know that from your lines, but I do. So it was that kind of a thing. She was very good because, she never wanted to admit that she was intuitive. But I think that right there showed how intuitive she was.
Sure. Do you, I'm going 0 to 100 already.
Sure.
Do you still, yeah. Does she come around anymore? Like, do you feel her presence?
Yeah, I do feel her presence. It's usually most of the time it's when I have a question or I need her. It's like I want to talk to you. Otherwise, it's like what's the feeling? I'm feeling it right now. It's like she doesn't want to invade my space. That's interesting. So it's like when I ask her, when I call on her, that kind of thing. Otherwise, she's got her stuff to do. And, she was around a lot in the beginning, but, it's a lot around the thoughts, so you're thinking a lot, and I was missing her so much. And I've been missing her recently, so that's probably why I've been feeling her.
The holidays and things like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
What was her favorite holiday?
She loved Christmas.
Sure.
Because the family's all together and all the cooking, and
that's
awesome. That was probably it.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely. It's tough for a lot of people right now. As you can tell in the world, right? What does have any of the new information that has come in from the higher self? Does it talk any more to that? Does it talk about the new earth, where we're at in that process?
Absolutely. The practitioners, that's what they're getting. It's more information. It's just more confirming. It's like a little bit more establishing of, where we are and where we're going. But what's really coming out now And what feels very strong to me, it's rather than us, hey, we're going to this place. Hey, this is, savior place. And it's like everybody looking to be saved. It's what a message that keeps coming through to me so profoundly is you're already here. Now see it. If you'll start believing it, then you'll see it. So it's a matter of how much we will give to the illusion. We see things out of habit. We see things because that's what we expect. We see things because there's commotion out here. And so we think, oh my gosh, that means it's still, we haven't gone anywhere. It's still there. But that's part of the challenge that we create for ourselves is, will you believe that you've already done it? Or do you have to have it? Or are you one of those that I'll believe it when I see it? And it's like, you will see it when you believe it. Know that you are already here. You are creating your world. So that's where the messages are all going. It's all about manifestation, because that's where we really come into that space of we are the creators. We are the ones doing this. If that's the case, why are we waiting for some utopia to come save us? We are the ones that will be creating this utopia. That's who we are, and that's where we are.
How have the messages changed over the years, right? From the higher self. I feel like they're totally different from where they were, but how have you noticed that they changed?
They in that there, it's like you have the power, those kind of messages. Before it was like, well, and it changes in that what were people asking? What were the questions? Because they're only going to answer the question. The questions were on a different level. The questions were more about, they're very personal. They're very, which is what we want. We want very personal questions, but it's more like, am I going to make it? Can I do this? Can I do that? And see, it's about self-doubt, and we needed reassurance, things like that. And what will happen here? If I do this, things like that, where now they've changed, they've shifted in that people are asking deeper questions. I feel like it's more of, you're the one that's creating this. I mean, it's like we're being more accountable. The SC is holding us more accountable. It's like, hey, you did this. So it kind of talks that way more and more.
Well, you talk about in your book how the SC talks, to us through our ailments and our diseases, right? Like each body part in particular, very specifically, this means this means that. That's like, but that's so mind blowing, because it's like, if you don't know that, you just think that you're sick, right?
Absolutely. You just think, and this is, and this happened to me just recently. I got this. It's like I had a different understanding of, because I have my understanding. I know what I have received from the SC. I understand this model over here, but it's like I gained a whole different perspective of, I don't know what to call it. What's being put in our face all the time. I don't know how else to say it, but it's like, they're trying to convince everybody, or we're trying to be convinced that we are broken and we need X, Y, and Z to fix us. And it's like, that's so far from the truth. No, it's just a message. We understand it. Now we go on. We can heal ourselves. We don't need all these things. It's like, if you just understand it's a message, that but it was just like, oh my gosh, this is what they're trying to convince us of, is we're broken. We're not broken.
But it's not even just healing. It's like everything, right? It's like the answers.
Yes.
Like we have the answers.
We have
the healing. We have the manifestation. It's all within, but people say that all the time, but what does that really mean? It's all within.
It's all within. Well, that's what it means, is when you make that connection with that bigger part of yourself that has all of the answers, see, that's within you, and you make that connection within. You're not going outside of yourself to do that. You're doing it within. Now, where QHHT, soul speak, all these different things it's teaching you how to make that connection and how then on your own, you can get your own answers. At first, you might need to be taught. That's where these things come in. After that, you can do it yourself.
What's one tip that we can do to connect with our higher self?
Get quiet.
What's 2 tips?
Okay. There's allow the information to come in. And then there's another one. It's like trust it. But sometimes that takes a little while.
That's the toughest part, I think.
The information comes in, trust it. You'll get confirmation that will help you trust it. And then eventually, I mean, you've got to believe it, so those are the things. But you've got to get quiet. You've got to quiet yourself enough to listen and trust that what you hear is them. So, because so many times, I mean, we all do this. We all get the information. We just don't believe that we do, or I don't hear anything. We're making so much noise ourselves, and it's coming in, or it's trying. When it can't come in this way, when you won't let you hear it, or you won't let it, what am I saying? When you won't let yourself hear it, then that's where the body, you'll start getting messages through the body. That's why you get messages through the bodies, because you're not listening.
Sure. What do you think? Like, after all of the books, right, and after all of the sessions, like, what is it that we're here to do? Is it just simply to clear karma? Is it simply to connect with that higher self? Is it simply just to live in that God state? Like, I don't think it's simply anything. I think it's a lot of different things. But like, what is the message being communicated
right.
to you?
The message is, it's about having experiences. It's about growing and developing. And this is more than just this individual that's here, this personality that's here. Remember, we're part of a larger, like our soul, and that higher self, it took a piece of itself, put it here in the body that we call ourselves. This, we could call it an avatar, for lack of a better word. This avatar is having experiences and collecting information and collecting soul's experiences, and then it takes it back to the soul. The soul learns from that. The soul, see, all of that is connected then to the higher self, connected to source. See, all of it is compounding information and experiences. But for our soul, rather than get on the big picture, for our soul growth, that's what we're doing. We're collecting experiences. Let's see what this one does. And we might repeat experiences several times just to see different reactions, just to see how we react and how we learn from different things. How have I grown through this? If I get to a place where it doesn't bother me anymore, then maybe I've grown to where I can move on to something else. And so that's why you might see cycles in some of the experiences that you have, is because you want to learn more or something else.
That's what I was going to ask, is like, how do you know you're on that treadmill, right? Like, how do you know you're in that cycle of this is what I need to work on? Absolutely.
When you start recognizing it, all of a sudden, it's like, it might be several times you're going, gosh, why is this happening again? Sometimes we just keep doing it and don't even realize. And that's what's beautiful in QHHT, is there's a part where we talk with the clients. We call it the interview. But in that, we're asking questions about their entire life. You're asking someone to see their entire life. And sometimes that's the first time that's ever happened in their life, is to look at their entire life from the beginning, as far back as they can remember, to the present time. And if they can look at significant relationships or different things, different events, they will probably start seeing a pattern. And that might be the first time that they're aware of it. And it's like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this all my life. How is that? Well, that's wonderful. That's the first thing, you become aware. Now you can, once you're aware, you can do things consciously rather than unconsciously.
Sure. Here's a tough question. Like,
okay.
What are some of the patterns that you've had to overcome?
That I've had to? Let's see. It's interesting how because I know of a major pattern, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, why? Because I remember when I recognized it, and it was like, then I'm now thinking, why is it we always look at it as, oh, that was something that was happening to me? Because that's how I looked at it. And now I'm like, how can I rephrase this as to so that maybe I learned from it? But it had to do with bullies in my life. I had a cycle of bullies, and I started realizing that had been going on for quite a while. And maybe, hopefully I've learned it, but it was about standing up for myself. Um, I'm one of those many, many people that do not like conflict, and I will just let myself be rolled over. And then when I started realizing what was happening, it's like, why these things keep happening? Then I realized it's a bully theme, I guess we want to say theme. And so then somewhere in there, maybe I stood up. I really don't know unless it happens again. I really don't want any more bullies in my life.
No more bullies. Standing
No
up for
more
yourself.
bullies.
Yeah. I think for me, the pattern is just like self-confidence, really, right? Like just
Yeah.
always self-doubt,
Yeah.
always
Oh,
doubting myself, and
absolutely.
not taking the steps necessary for change, like being
Mhm.
scared of that step.
Mhm.
I mean, the podcast for me has been a huge, like that's uh for me, it's been a huge success in that I took the steps
Mhm.
necessary to create this thing, right? Like, so that self-confidence is definitely up
Yeah.
there. But I mean, in other areas, right? It's just that fear of like getting outside of your comfort zone,
Mhm.
doing new things, like feeling a pull for like the universe, right? Like, and you can definitely attest to this, right?
Mhm.
Feeling a pull or having an idea or a dream or desire, but not going after it because you're comfortable in a different area. And
Yeah.
then like as you
Then you're
experience,
pushed.
yes, yes, and then you're pushed into a wholly, totally
Yeah.
different. But that's like, I almost feel like a lot of people feel that they're like not happy in their lives, or they feel very chained, like a prisoner
Mhm.
almost to their life circumstances, and they blame
Right.
other people and saying this is you're the reason why I'm here,
Mhm.
and they don't realize that they put themselves there through their choices throughout their entire
Exactly.
lives. That was a big awakening for me, was like the
Right.
realization that every choice that I've made has gotten me to where I'm at. Like,
Every single one. But the cool thing about it is you can always make another choice that moves you in another direction. So
yes.
it's never, ever, ever too late to go. But I feel like there's points that because you had your life designed, you have a blueprint essentially for your life of things that you hope to accomplish and what you want to do. And there are certain fated points of like you have contracts with people. I'm going to meet with you at this point. We'll do this together. We'll learn this together. Whatever. I'll help you. You help me. So there's things like that come into play that we're working on. So if we're, let's say, but then the rest of it's experiences. Okay, let's try these different things out. So let's say we're going on this road and we're supposed to be at this point in time, maybe over here, but we're over here right now. And it's like, then your higher self, your guides, your guardian angels, everybody, this is your team. And they're the ones that are helping you to remember, like where to go. In fact, you even made a deal with them. It's like, if I get really off course, please do whatever you have to get me where I need to be. And so that's why you'll feel that push sometimes. And sometimes it'll be a major one that cuts off one avenue and gets you on the right path, and it might be pretty drastic. And that's why I say if you wait for the universe to do it, it's not pretty, because it's like it waited till the very last moment and then you get over there. But you still have free will. You still have free will. You can still block everything, I guess, but then you're going to have these issues like you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
regrets and, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this? I feel like I'm chained here. I feel like, but see, at any time you can still shift.
Mm-hmm.
Because when, like, I do a picture and it's like when I see it on that picture, it's like at any point you can move direction. You're not ever stuck in one place. You might feel like you are, but you aren't ever fully stuck.
Sure. Well, let's face it. A lot of us feel like, I know for myself, right? We have responsibilities for other
Mm-hmm.
people sometimes, and it's like
Right.
you have to make sure that you take care of those responsibilities. So, and you feel like if you go in a different direction or different avenue or different step, those responsibilities will be threatened, whether because it's different, it's outside of your comfort zone, it's outside
Absolutely.
of your daily life right now, and you just can't see the results from that. And plus, we're in this body with this mind, right? And it wants to be
Mhm.
comfortable. We evolved over time to find comfort instead of,
Yeah.
being in stress and all of that, right? Like that's why as a human being, like I'm always attracted to the good times. I want to feel the great stuff. I want to feel the good
Sure.
chemicals. I don't ever want to feel, I don't want to be cold. You know what I mean? I want to be warm.
Mhm. Exactly.
So it's like it's natural for us to go towards the good stuff and feel comfortable because like it just it's why would we go and yes, I desire that career or I desire that relationship or I desire that experience, but if it's going to take a very long time of suffering, why put that effort when I'm sitting here in this nice little white fenced yard with the green grass and but I'm
Yeah, but
miserable.
if you had something in your plan that had to get done, you could call it fate, whatever, something that you have in there that must get done because you have all these contracts aligning. It's like these are going to happen, these have to happen, then you will get there. I mean, yeah, you'll be comfortable and everything over here, but if this is over here that has to be done somehow, I'll call it the universe, but it's all these people, all this guidance system, all these energies that are in place to help you go down the path that you designed before you came in. It's going to get you there. And
Will it get you there, or will it like will it stop trying to get you there after a certain time? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I don't think it'll, if it's really, really, really supposed to happen. No, I don't think it stops trying because
mm,
it's like you get such major. I just know what happened to me,
sure.
and it was like I wasn't allowed to say no. That's how it felt. It's like I have to be over here, and that's the end of it. And it took me quite a while to realize that. No, this was where I needed to be. I probably still don't fully understand everything that happened, but that's how it felt. So I feel like if you have points like that, if you have directions that you have to go, you must be in this direction to meet your goal. And it's not, it's more than apparently it's a life goal. It's something, rather than, okay, this certain person or this certain job, or it's more than that. It's like it's something you will get there. I mean,
Sure.
yeah, if it's
Yeah,
in the
it's not
plan,
like
it
a
will happen.
desire or not like an attachment to something. It's more like a freaking pull from the universe, like a
Mhm.
freaking
Mhm. Yeah.
it's like it's almost like gravity, like but in the opposite. It's like pulling you in a different direction, not
Right.
not down, you know.
Maybe magnets,
Yes.
super powered magnets
Yes.
pulling you. Yeah, absolutely. And that's how it feels. It's like I have to go this way. And the thing is, I mean, there's some people, like I think it's Abraham Hicks. She calls it you're going with the flow. It's the flow of life. See that when you're moving with it, everything flows.
Mhm.
When you're moving against it, and you're trying to do your own thing, that's when you hit all these obstacles, all these things. So that's your first indication that this is probably not the direction that you intended to go. You go in the direction where it flows easily.
You
And
had a very I didn't mean to cut you off, but you had a
uh,
very great like radio show about like speaking to Esther Hicks and Abraham Hicks, like about law of attraction with your mother. I don't remember what episode it was, but some of the concepts that you talked about were very very like resonating with me anyway, right?
cool. Mhm.
Like how does some like because like with Esther, I feel like I can't say certain things to myself, or I have to be a certain way or something to attract things. Is that right? Does that make sense? Like I can't say
No,
I
yeah.
want something, right? I can't say I
Okay.
want something because that means
Oh,
I'm putting want into the world, right? Like I have to.
yeah. I don't get that picky about it. It's not. I see where they're coming from. I get that, because words are very important and they can negate and things like that. Where I'm understanding now is it's all about the feelings that you have and whatever it is that you want to accomplish. See yourself. What would it feel like if it were done? And I do think that she does say that. So I feel like a lot of these are on
Mhm.
the same path. It's just this is the one that really I've done it. I've used it. It works. So it's like you just imagine what would it feel like if that were done? Okay. And then you can do that in meditation, whatever. You just visualize it and then you feel it. Okay. Now you know that feeling and you've imagined yourself in that position of it happening, whatever it is. So now you stay with that feeling. Yeah, you're going to come back here to this time and place, but you stay with that feeling whenever you think about that subject. Okay. It's no longer now, I wonder if. It's just, oh, this is what it feels like. I know. Mm-hmm. And see, by doing that, now you have shortened the gap between you and that event, object, whatever. And mm-hmm. it will come to you. Mm-hmm. So because you have created, you're not over here wondering and I don't know. See, as long as you have doubt, it won't come. You'll get more doubt. See, so sure. That's why it's so important is that feeling. And the best way I have found, man, I can't talk tonight. I have found to get that is to imagine what would it be like to already have that, already be there. And then you can feel it, every bit of it. Your body feels it. And it's like, oh man, this is great. Mm-hmm. And then the key is to hold on to that feeling. Just stay there with that feeling. While you go through your everyday life.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people can do that, but there's also like subconscious blocks for some people, because some people like I can think about a dream here, but I can't think about a dream up here, right? Because I maybe I don't deserve that, or maybe who am I to even think about being that?
Well, see, but that's your stuff. You have to go see where is that stuff coming from, maybe, or your value system with yourself, and who are you not to have it?
Sure.
I mean, but that's part of that. That's why we say read all these wonderful books. Watch what you put into yourself. Keep putting good, positive things, because that's where we want to rewrite those tapes.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because when you try to go to those spots, right, like of whatever that desire may be, or a pull, and you envision yourself there, some of those blocks come in and mess with that emotion. Like you can't feel you have never been that. So how do you know what it feels like to be that? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And that's why I like this approach, because you can imagine it. Mm-hmm. You're just like, well, what have I got to lose to imagine? We can do that. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just saying I'm going to imagine it. And what would that feel like? Sure. Now, if you can do that, you can do the next steps. But it's a work in progress. It's not immediate for everybody. And it took me a little bit. But once, it's all in the imagination. People don't give that imagination enough credit.
Sure.
We think, I'm just making it up. Hey, guess what that making up is doing? It's creating.
Well, what is that? What is that part of us that is creating, right? Like, what is that?
That's that part that's connected to the all. That's why it's like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's outlandish. That's not realistic. Because it's part of that major allness, the infinite possibilities. And that's where that's coming from. That's from your higher self saying, hey, it can be actually a seed of what it is you really came here to do. And that's why you're going, wow, that would be so cool. If I could it's like, yeah, you can. If you can imagine it, you can do it. You can have it.
What is something that you've created for yourself?
It was a tough situation. This has happened several times. Tough situations. There's that bullies. See those bullies. I figured out how to work around them. That's what I did. Anyway, but it was like, rather than succumbing and giving in and just thinking, oh my gosh, this is a horrible world and everybody's beating up on me, I imagined, okay, what would it be like if all of this is settled, everything is done, and I'm moving forward and everything's great. And it was just such a wonderful feeling. And it was like I'm celebrating with people because, yay, it all worked out and stuff like that. And it was just that feeling of, I can breathe now. And it happened.
Wow.
Where it didn't look like it was going to happen. And it just all happened.
Wow. That is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just think about all of the content that you and your mother have created. I mean, you guys put a ton of content out there. Are you still doing any of that? Are you still doing a radio show?
Yeah, I have the metaphysical hour. I continued the metaphysical hour after my mother passed, and it's on Friday nights, the same time at 7 p.m. Central,
Mm-hmm.
and it's on BBS Radio. I'm getting ready to put the shows right now are on the BBS Radio channel, and then I have a co-host, and she's putting it on her YouTube channel, Tracy Mahan, and then I've got to get it on mine too. So that's just me being lazy. I just haven't gotten all that done, and so
What do you guys
I'll be
talk
doing
about? Just same stuff, different
that.
stuff?
Everything metaphysics, and a lot of times it's just what happened in that week, and it's what's really cool is you can take everyday things and show the metaphysical messages that are in there. And it's like, see, it's be aware, there's stuff everywhere.
Sure.
So, and sometimes we'll take on big themes
Big
yeah,
themes. I love it. Like God,
anything.
like
Yeah.
being God, right? Like,
Why not? That's who we are.
yeah. Yeah. But people, I find myself flinching. I mean, not flinching. Right. So like Blair Styra, right?
Yes.
Blair, I love Blair.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been on the show and he talks about human nature and God nature, right? And the human nature side of me flinches sometimes. Like if I get into that God nature, that part of me, and I can really be in it,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel so good, right?
Yes.
But then you have the human nature chirping, like,
Mm-hmm.
what are you talking about, man? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I
God?
call that conscious mind ego. That's what it's just the jabber monkey. It's just jabberwocky. It's just over there. What do you think you're doing?
Yeah. What do you think you're doing? What you think you're God, right? Like,
Exactly.
but we've been told we're not. We've been told we're not, and
We've
that
been
we're
told since before birth that we're not. We've been taught things so long and belief systems, and that's what a lot of this is. It's recognizing that most of the things that we take on are just other people's belief systems that we've adopted as our own belief system. So it's our choice whether we want to continue living that or do we want to take on new belief.
Hmm.
And I like the belief that we can do anything, that we are God. We can create our own worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And I just know that my world has changed tremendously the more I go down that road.
Less bullies.
Less bullies, less chaos, less drama,
Huh.
less, yeah, it's just a peaceful, and I still have things, you have challenges, you have these, it doesn't take that away because that's where we learn, but that drama, that's probably the biggest thing that leaves, it's like that, all that up and down stuff. It's like, I don't need that. I don't want it in my life. So I don't adhere to it. I don't go to it. I don't look at it. I don't let it in. And that's where we choose. That's that free will. We choose what we let in or not. Because this is always computing. This is always creating. It's all because those thoughts, whatever is going on up here and then coming out of the mouth, and then the belief system, all of that works together to create going forward. So we have to take the responsibility to change it if that's what you want. If you want a different world, then you have to do that.
Sure. But it takes time, right? It takes time. It takes time to.
There's a belief system again. See, it doesn't necessarily have to take time. It can be just like that. It's just a matter of changing a thought.
I was reading a book. Oh man, it is escaping me, and it's upstairs in my room about some philosophy of Eastern, like teachers or masters or something, and they were talking about the God concept that we are that, and they were able to they were like in India somewhere back in the early like 1900s, late 1800s, and they went on this trek and they were in the mountains. It was like some Americans, and they were traveling with like like some people, and they were studying them and their beliefs,
Okay.
and they had the belief that we were God, and they were able to manifest things, and they were able to like travel like I mean, they would start at a township in India, and then the people would make their trek through the mountains. It would take 2 days, and then the people that never left would show up at the place that they were at and they were like, what is going on? Like, you were like, how did you get here? Right. And so they were able to do these things, but I don't know how they did it. I'm assuming that they have gotten to this state of vibration where they can do these things and have these gifts or what have you. But I feel like because of our belief systems, like if we
Yes.
don't shed those, like we'll
Yes.
never be able to do any of that. Like,
Absolutely. They believe they can do that, and they've not been told they can't do it. We've been told we cannot do it. This is, we're human. What do you think you can do? Well, you can't fly, you can't do these things. What are you talking about? When those are actually our natural abilities. But
mhm.
it's kind of like that chaining. We've been anchored down. But that's a belief. And as soon as we recognize it, that it's a belief, you can change it at that point. Now, if you
Well,
believe it'll be long and hard and I'm going to have to work on this for years and years and years, then that's what it'll be.
sure.
Or it can be, I choose differently right now. And then it's a matter of what I find is you might have to remind yourself. And that's what I call being mindful. Be mindful about what you hear going on up here and catch it and then shift it, reframe it,
Mm-hmm.
change the thought process, change
Mm-hmm.
the words, change the tape.
Well, that's right, right. To your point, if we can change that process, change that mindset, like they in the book they even talked about how they were able to produce food without planting anything. They were able to manifest it right then and there, like kind of like the Jesus
Right.
and the parable in the Bible where you fed so many people.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to do these things, and they were taken back by it. They were just like, how did you do these things? It's like
Yeah.
they're writing about it. I'm not at the end of the books. I don't know if were able to reproduce any of that stuff for themselves,
Right.
um but to be able to think that we can do this, like
Mm-hmm.
what is this world that we live in, right? We're learning more about quantum physics and quantum mechanics. Like, this is energy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
are we manipulators of energy where we can recreate our physical realities
Yeah.
into any, I mean, there's, what
I
are
mean, that's why
dimensions?
we came here, was to learn limitations, learn emotions, and learn how to manipulate energy
Hmm.
in this environment. We can do it in the other environments, it's nothing, but do it in this dense environment with all these emotions, all of this it's a game board. It's like all of these elements. Can we be who we really are without remembering who we really are?
Can we? But we get so trapped in the game. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely. That's the challenge. That's what we created it for that. How long will it take us? And we left ourselves breadcrumbs too, and then say, like that book you're reading, see, that's a breadcrumb. Those are pieces to help guide us through it. But we we knew going in, it's like that's a big point of the game, is to remember who we are. So it's like you're going through it, and at first we're just going all the time, just play, 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 believing everything that's around us, that's the world. And then something starts happening and we start questioning. And then more things start becoming revealed, that veil thins more, and we're going, maybe it's different. Maybe there's something more to this. And so we're questioning, and we're then looking for other things, other signs. And so with that becomes, we get more abilities, more things start happening. And then we're realizing, oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
this is a game. And that's the whole object of this game, is to, one, realize it's a game, two, realize who we really are, and three, realize that we're the ones that created the game.
That's such a mind bender right there. Uh, do you, so are you still involved with the publishing company as well, with new authors and
Um,
all of that?
no, I am running the Qhht, and then my sister is running the publishing company. So we're kind of there was, each one was growing. It was hard for me to be over all of it anymore, and so we just shifted. And so I know I have know of things that are going there, but it's really, we're running these separately.
Sure.
So,
I heard rumors about a new book that
mhm.
of your mom, I think she has out or something
Right.
like that's going
Yeah.
to be coming out.
Yeah, I think it just hit the warehouse. It's out now.
Okay.
So they just delivered all the or they're in the process of delivering the pre-orders. And
Nice.
so I guess it's now being shipped out to where, you know, the distributors and Amazon, and so it'll be in their warehouses.
How does she write those books? So I know that she recorded the sessions, but
Mhm.
how did she have someone transcribe them, or did she do that? Like, how does she write her
At the
books?
very beginning, she did it, and for a little while, I did it. I transcribed, and then she got someone. Then she started hiring other people because I was doing it as well as other things, and that's not an easy job. It takes a long time.
It's tough. I've tried to
Uh-huh.
do that. Like I've done a couple reports for
Yeah.
school when I've had an interview for somebody, and I'm sitting here trying to like, what did she say? Like, oh, let me
Yeah.
go
You
back,
have
and
to keep
then
going
like,
back, going back, going back.
oh man, I don't know how you guys did that.
Hmm. Yeah. It was really good learning though for me because um you'll understand when you're in the course, you're trying to like when you do a session, it's like, how do I ask these questions? And that was great learning because I'm transcribing this session and I'm hearing the question and then I'm anticipating the answer. And then it's like, okay, then and I'm expecting the next question, so it's kind of helping me to see it's like training me in the path and how it goes. And then I would see what question mom actually did ask next and stuff. So it was really cool. It was fun in that way. I was always anticipating. So there, I was making a game out of it. Um, but yeah, her sessions were, let's see, there were two. I don't remember it, but it took me all day. It would take me all day to do
Sure.
one session.
But they were worth it. I mean, a lot of great content. And then I guess she would get all the transcriptions and then just kind of piece it together into like a story.
Yeah, she would have, because as she's doing it, then she started seeing themes, or maybe she kept them in kind of files or something of what was interesting in that. But yeah, when she would look at it, it's like, okay, there was something on this. If she didn't keep all the sessions. So if she kept one, it was something in there. And so she'd go through it. It's like, what was it about this one? And then it's like a puzzle. Yeah, so I've got here's this, and then they start coming together, and there might be a theme. Okay, this could make a book. Okay, this is another theme. This might be another chapter, or it's in another book entirely. So that's kind of how it went, and
Mhm.
that's where she had so much material there that it's now. I mean, she was working on 3 books when she passed. She had 3 books in different stages of progress, and this is the last one. The one that just came out was the last one of the 3 that were there, but she still has more material.
Wow.
So we'll just see.
Wow.
Mm.
Are the practitioners now, are they building upon that foundation that she created?
Absolutely. And it's amazing to see where they're going. They're picking up, and many of them are writers. And so they're, following in that same footsteps. I think you've interviewed Sarah Bressman
Hmm.
Cosme.
Hmm.
She just published her 3rd book, and she kind of just picked up on where mom left off in some of these subjects and everything. And it's wonderful. Like this keeps carrying on. So it shows what's happening. And that's happening to many of our practitioners. We have several others that are writing books as well. And
Sure.
yeah,
How does that make you feel, right? Like to see your mom's legacy
oh,
continue
it's
to build.
amazing. It's amazing.
It's
Yeah.
like your mom has created this modality and like worked with the higher consciousness
Right.
and has created this foundation, and now it's just kind of like spreading, right? And to be a
Mhm.
part of that, right? Like,
Yeah, it's amazing. It's before she passed, the last class, right before she passed, like the last classes that she was doing, I was going to say about the last class, but it was actually the last few classes. We didn't know it was, well, it was about her time. We had no idea. We thought she was going to live forever, but there she started noticing, this is probably a key I should have picked up on that something was shifting in her. But she started noticing, it's like she stopped for a minute because she would just always going and just doing her thing. We're teaching classes, she's writing books, she's doing all these things. And it was like all of a sudden she just stopped, and she was, we noticed like these people in the classes were from all these different countries and from everywhere. And it was like she just, well, what happened? And the classes were getting bigger and bigger. It's like, did I do this? It's like wasn't even aware what was happening. She was just doing her thing,
mhm.
and so that, and then that the last class was the largest class we ever had. And it was really cool. I think a lot of people, I think they knew, we didn't know but they, we have very intuitive students. So, but I loved it. She came in the room. I was actually acknowledging all the different countries. I was wanting everybody to yell out where they were from. I think it was something like, I don't know, 30, 35 different countries represented in that room. It was
Wow.
amazing. And so I was playing with that. And then mom came in, and she came in from the back of the room, and she walked down there was a center aisle or anything to come up to the stage. And when she did that, the whole room stood up. And I'm gonna cry now because it's like, it was just so amazing. It was like, she never was looking for that, but it was so wonderful that um she was just beaming. And it
Mm.
was like, oh my gosh, I think she finally was seeing some of the effect,
Mm.
some of what was happening. And
I
then
was,
now, my gosh, yeah, it just keeps growing and growing. And the effect, you know, and what you're doing. See, this is how this all keeps moving out. We keep putting this information out there that changes lives,
mhm.
that shifts people's worlds. That's huge. Yeah, and when someday we'll look back, it's like, oh my gosh, did any of us have any clue that what a pivotal person, or what a pivotal time, what a pivotal anything all of this was?
Sure.
It's just.
It's like that standing ovation, right? Like
Mhm.
that moment when you
Yeah,
realize your life's work.
yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean it's a powerful moment, right? Like
Oh my gosh. That's why every time I think about it, because I was so proud of her at that point, but it was just, she was beaming, and she just stood so tall, and she was walking down there. It's like, I was just so, it was an honoring time, and it was just, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but yeah,
and
I
that was
think
our
we're all
last
crying.
class,
That was the last class. Mhm.
and that was level one.
That was, it might have been a level two. I think we had both classes, both a level one. It might have been level one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think we have both.
33 countries, standing ovation.
Mhm.
Dolores Cannon's the last class. Like
Mhm.
that's gotta be a powerful moment for you. Like
It
that,
was
I mean,
it was so,
seriously.
yeah.
Um, and
Mhm.
then to carry on her legacy through, you know, QHHT and doing the work that you're doing now. I mean, you're still spreading that. You're still helping build on top of that foundation. And I think, um, you know, you see it. You see so much more of her work now because she
Yes.
was before her time. Like,
So far before her time. So far.
and I see it everywhere now, right? Like,
Mhm.
I remember when I first started reading her books, and I wasn't at the stage of development that I am now, but I was just kind of like, oh, I hear it. Okay, I'll call, but
Yeah.
I didn't think anything of it and just kind of set it aside. And then I
Mhm.
met Paul just on
Mhm.
Instagram, and then saw some of his stuff and listening to his clips. And then like I was like, man, like Dolores Cannon, why does that name sound familiar? And I'd go back to my books because I was reading a ton of books
Mhm.
and find something and start reading it. And I'm like, wow, that does make sense,
Mhm.
right? Like spoon feeding me, right?
Yes.
And then the
Absolutely.
more I get hooked on the modality of QHHT, just the fact that you can go inside and get someone into a state
Mhm.
of altered state of consciousness and connect with something and get information, right? And it be from that person. It's not from you, it's from that
No,
person.
they are getting their own information. That's the most powerful thing. That's how I feel. It's the most powerful thing you can do for someone, is to show them how to get their own answers.
Yeah. And then I started listening and binge listening to Convoluted, and
Hmm.
I'm just finishing up one of the books now, and it's like, man, how do you build on that? And then I'm sure it's going to build on that, and I'm sure I'll be 4 books in, and it's amazing. And then you read Sarah's stuff,
Hmm.
you read your stuff,
Hmm.
you read. I think Suzanne has a book out, um, but
I
I
think
don't. I think
she's
she
got
does.
several things out.
But
Hmm.
all right, so how do you like? What is your take on your authors at your publishing house, right? Like,
Hmm.
is their material similar to yours? Like I'm not just yours, but like QHHT findings and data.
Right. I can't vouch for all of them right now because I haven't been in that selection process for a few years now. But I'm assuming that it's gone along the same line probably. But yeah, Mom used to have a phrase that we don't print junk. So she was very, very picky and selective about what authors she would have. And it had to be people that had maybe a new slant on something, had a different take on the information, but it was always positive. It was always because she never found anything negative in her work. It was always very positive. And we know that anything that appears negative is fear manifested. So it's like now you look at the person, if they've got fear and all these negative things coming out in their work, you need to look at the author, that because it's their stuff that they're working through.
Sure, because I know there's been a lot of recent, right? Like some people that were a part of like uh I don't know what you like metaphysics back in the day, and now their viewpoints have changed drastically, and now they're attacking, some of the content that's out there about, oneness and things like that, saying it's, the work of the devil, blah blah blah. And it's like, well, that just sounds like it's so fear driven to me, right? Like it's just like, I don't know, it sounds like a more conservative God of like of my past, right? Like you got to follow Jesus, you got to repent, you got to ask for forgiveness, blah blah blah. And I'm like, weren't you the person like talking about this stuff, and that what happened to you? Did you have like, they claimed that they had a vision and they changed their outlook to, 100%. Now it sounds like it's just hardcore conservative Christianity to me now. And it's like that's fear to me, right? Like that's
what it feels like. And I don't know. All I can feel is that something happened. What? I don't know. But isn't this a great opportunity to learn? When things like that happen, it shakes foundation, because it's like, oh my gosh, I thought you had it all figured out. I believed in you. I did. See, that's where it's like, don't place it in other people. You've got to find your own answers. So that's where you can look at this situation and say, well, how do I feel about it? How does it feel? What does it sound like? How does it resonate with me? And if it doesn't, then don't take it. And like you're saying, you're looking at it. Why is this person? Why did they make this shift?
Sure.
Something happened.
Something happened, and now it's all fear driven, and it's like it just feels like the negative that we see in the news every day. And to me, that's fake. You know what I mean? It's fake news. That's the illusion, right? Like
exactly
to shake you off your path. And I just feel like if you're God, right? Like Blair said this. He was like, if when I'm in that God state, I have the answers.
Yes.
And like I don't need to search outside of myself. And I feel like I've done that a lot of my life, is like search outside of myself for the answers.
Everybody has. And that's why they, meaning our guidance team, that's what they keep saying. It's time to be your own guru. It's time that you go within yourself, be your own channel, whatever you want to call it. You get your own answers. Stop going. Stop giving. What we're doing when we do that, when we go outside of ourselves, is we're giving our power away. When we go within, see, we're pulling our power back. And that's what this time is about, is taking our power back. Go within, get your own answers.
Take your power back. Take your power back with Julia Cannon. Julia, this has been so much fun. Thank you for taking the time.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Thank you. It's been wonderful.
So where can people find you again? Let them know.
Okay, if you want anything about QHHT, qhhtofficial.com. If you want to learn about me, juliacannon.com. Then I also have Instagram and Facebook, and just Julia Cannon, you'll find me.